In this video, we're talking about social commerce. And as an Amazon seller, you will learn how you can take an advantage of this huge traffic. Our guest today will be Guy Heretz from RPG.com. They are an Amazon agency helping with advertising and account management services for Amazon sellers. And before we continue, I wanted to mention that this session is sponsored by a few companies. One of them is Getida. They are FBA audit and reimbursements service for Amazon sellers. They help to claim money back from Amazon, which owes to you some money. You will find the link below to Getida in the description. Z is a full service of compliance, customs, and logistics. So if you want to expand your e-commerce business globally, they are a one-stop shop for you. Again, link in the description. Next company is Perpetua, which is an e-commerce Amazon optimization and intelligence software for Amazon and a few other marketplace sellers. So use them if you want to optimize your PPC campaigns. Unibrands is a FBA acquirer. They buy and build different e-commerce brands. They're interested in Amazon and Shopify direct-to-consumer brands. So if you want to exit your e-commerce business, talk to them. And finally, last but not least, Helium 10 is also part of this event. They are all-in-one suite for Amazon and Walmart sellers. And the links and offers of all the sponsors you will find below in the description. If you like what we do and how what you learn in our videos, don't forget to subscribe and click like.
Hi everybody, and I'm super happy to invite here Guy, who will be running this awesome next session. So hi Guy.
Hello. Hi everyone.
So before we go to your presentation about social commerce, could you first please introduce yourself and let our viewers know what you do in Amazon space?
Sure. So first of all, thank you for having me. Always happy to be with you, Orange Click, and especially on Seller Fest Online. Long time no see. So I'm an Amazon seller from 2016, digital online entrepreneur. Have different companies and different projects that I'm involved in. I guess one of the biggest is of course RPG.com, which is the biggest and the leading Amazon agency here in Israel, with a lot of like A to Z solutions for Amazon sellers. And this is what we do. Usually we help different brands on Amazon to scale and provide them with everything they need, and just love with working with people. Today, I'm going to speak about social commerce. First of all, to understand this phenomena, a little bit to dive into this trend. I like to say that I'm kind of a trendologist. I like to analyze trends, specifically in the niches and the industry that I'm working and interested in. So we will try to understand this trend first of all, and then see how it can help us to boost our own businesses on Amazon. And if you are selling on different platforms, this is of course also will help you very much. So let's start from the beginning and see the very basic explanation of social commerce. So maybe already you guessed, social commerce is the buying and selling of goods or services directly within a social media platform. It can be whatever platform that you think of. You can see some of them here on the pictures. And it's a kind of a subset of e-commerce. And it, of course, as you understand, involves social media and online media, social marketing, and many other things that we're going to cover today. So I will be sharing a lot of statistics here in the slides because I really like to add some facts and things to support my ideas and the things that I'm saying. So let's start with an interesting one. So this is a Jungle Scout last survey, and they asked the consumers where do they shop for product online, where do they start their search. So of course we can see that the big giants like Amazon and Walmart are still dominating, definitely, but little by little you can see that the social media platforms are starting to bite and take some market share from those huge product search engines, right? So you can see Facebook with 26 and YouTube 24, Instagram with 18, and the big or small, the huge elephant in the room, TikTok, that we're gonna explain a little bit more about, specifically about TikTok further on. But you can see a trend. Okay, people are starting to look or to shop products online, not necessarily on the big, platforms that we are aware of, but sometimes where they're spending their time, and usually we spend our time on social media. So to understand the power of social commerce, we should step back a little bit and understand what happened in the last 2 years. Okay, and the last 2 years, of course, there's one main big thing that happened, and in a second we'll put a name on it. But that thing that happened caused this thing. So you can see here the e-commerce penetration percentage in the United States. So how much people penetrated into e-commerce and started to buy online in the United States in the first quarter of 2020. So what we had in 2020 in the first quarter, of course, COVID-19, the coronavirus, and you can see the growth here. The penetration in just 3 months was equal to a 10 years growth. This is something that you need to read 2, maybe 3 times in order to understand how huge it is. Okay, and of course, COVID-19 affected really, really hard. And this is the first phenomena that I want to discuss in our 2 years kind of what happened. So we understand that COVID-19 really boosted the digital economy. As you understand, everybody was at home, so it makes sense. People embraced social distancing, right? We're still embracing. I think this is kind of already part of our life. And of course, they turned online to shop. 67% of consumers reported they shop differently. Now, of course, due to COVID-19, we know that COVID-19 is still a big issue in many, many countries around the world. And it's not something like that gonna disappear, I guess, in the near future. So it's usually will be, I guess, like the flu. It will stay with us. 20-30% of the businesses moved online during pandemic. So, of course, a lot of businesses needed to close their doors to think about other alternative ways to sell their products. So they penetrated also into the digital space. Home goods and specifically fitness products saw an almost 20% sell growth. So we were at home, maybe we felt better, less better with ourselves by sitting in front of the Netflix and eating and ordering food from the outside. So we started to also try and exercise at home. It makes sense, but also everything engaged with home, like home accessories, fixing and doing different works at home. Of course, if people with families and kids, so we also saw a boost with toys and different things to arts and crafts for the kids. So everything related to indoor was a big boost in e-commerce. And another thing was kind of a bye-bye for the loyalty. So before COVID-19, we were still kind of everybody liked to buy their own brands, and there was the Appleists, right? The ones that love iPhones, and you have the Android gurus. That this is just an example from the mobile industry, right? But you can see this kind of patterns also in different products. So people really like their own brands. But suddenly something happened, right? People started to maybe have less money, or they started to shop, less physically in the places they like. So they were exposed to much more other micro brands. So the variety of reasons caused this, and we saw a drop in the loyalty of a specific brands, and this has also helped the social commerce to rise. We can see that 80% of the consumers also reported that they buy a different brand than usual. Okay, so if you can think about yourself, maybe you also did the same thing, because it's a huge number. Okay, many reasons for that was usually lower prices. So once micro brands, small brands started to introduce the products with lower prices, every country had their issues with the government, with the salaries, with the bonuses from the government. People stopped to work. What we can say, the wallets shrinked. So we had to look for other alternatives. But also, of course, everybody heard about the logistic chaos that was still here around the world. So also many products, big products, were out of stock. Big products of big brands. We can see very huge crises in the chip industry, in the technological industry, and we saw a drop there. Of course, we can speak about the contactless payment that was really an issue. People didn't want to change money by hand, right? Cash money, and a lot of coronavirus-friendly fulfillment options were there. So all the delivery companies were like cheering, hey, this is our era. So omnichannel and online shopping really, I guess, will continue to prevail in the world and kind of give us the next trends in the next years. And an interesting fact about specifically Instagram, they saw the biggest growth between July and September 2020. And they even outperformed their mother company, Facebook, which is really huge. Second thing that happened in the last 2 years, so of course we buy more, which makes sense after we heard what happened with the number one. So if you can see here, the main markets around the world bought more. Okay, blue color is more. They bought more. People are buying more online, which is something that is already here to stay. But it's a big numbers all over the world. Maybe the only country is Australia. I don't know. Maybe COVID wasn't visiting there, but they're still kind of equal. The third thing is the era of Amazon aggregators. So everybody heard about these aggregators, and there's like, I don't know, around 100 around the world. And for those who doesn't know what aggregators are, it's a big, huge companies like Thrasio, and they just buy Amazon brands. So how it's connected to to everything that I want to say. So they also saw a big opportunity in the micro brands. So the micro brands rose from somewhere, right? So specifically from Amazon, and it kind of born in Amazon, but a lot of aggregators also buy Shopify and ordinary e-commerce brands, right? Because they saw how much value they can provide. And one of the big things that aggregators do is opening a social commerce or digitally marketing kind of departments in their aggregators that all that do all everything that they do is just social commerce. So they need to kind of show everything that this brand has there outside on your mobiles. So this is something also that we cannot ignore. A lot of money, as you can see here, almost $14 billion are in capital went into this industry. And micro brands, which is you, by the way, everybody who's listening here and kind of, doing 7 to 8 figures, even less, 6 to 8 figures on Amazon is called micro brand. So these micro brands also, you can see here, the percentages of consumers who say that they always shop for specific brands is down by 35%. So no more loyalty. And this is, guys, an opportunity for you. And this is why I'm here to speak about this thing from the beginning. Number 4 is, this is like something that I'm still hearing people that are not aware of this great statistics. So Shopify surpasses Amazon in online traffic. This has happened in Q3 last year. This is huge, and this trend also continues. So I know people, the skeptic people will say, well, Amazon is the one marketplace, right? And Shopify is thousands of websites. Yes, I know. But if you gather all these websites into one marketplace, which, by the way, this is the rumors that Shopify is kind of planning on launching a marketplace that will gain with a search engine all their websites, you can see that the number of visitors on Shopify, powered by Shopify websites, suppresses Amazon traffic. And this is huge. And you can understand that this traffic is more and more goes for kind of a niche or a small brand, specializes in different products, niches, websites. And this is also connected to the number 1 that we said, that we can see that people are buying and starting to look for products on other places, not necessarily on the big giants that we're familiar with. And this is kind of, this is the new king. So having your private domain with a lot of traffic, this is the new king. And in our industry, we're talking about it for years, right? So we need to put our eggs in several baskets, and we don't need to rely only on Amazon. But now it's much more critical than ever to have another platform that either will support your efforts on Amazon in, for example, launching new products, or just having another channel, and a D2C, direct to consumer channel, where you can offer much more to your clients, things that you cannot do on Amazon, because as we all know, the buyers are not your real clients, they're Amazon's real clients. TikTok. So the revolution of TikTok and how it's connected to the next slide. So you can see here in the graphs on the left side, you can see US, United States, and on the right, you can see United Kingdom. So we can see that by June 2021, the people watched much more live videos and video time on TikTok more than YouTube. And when you think about it, like YouTube, how old is YouTube? Like I'm not sure because I didn't check, but I know it's 15 years here, something like that, maybe even more. TikTok was born just a couple of years ago, but came into our kind of our reality, in our life, just during COVID, like in the past 2 years. And just in the past 2 years, even less, because here you see June 2021, they are making people to watch their videos much more than YouTube. And this is also a really big trend that you need to take into consideration, because when you think about it, TikTok is really short videos, like what, 10, 20 seconds. On YouTube, sometimes you have videos, you have documentary films, you have series, you have a lot of video time. And you think about it, that even though people are watch much more TikTok videos, how much time did they spend in order to suppress YouTube? This is really huge. Why TikTok so popular? And this is important, and I decided to make a slide about it, because this is kind of a trend that always also will dictate what is going on with the young people right now and what they prefer. So first of all, TikTok's so popular because scrolling and the effect of scrolling keeps the dopamine coming. So dopamine is a chemical in our brain that kind of in charge of our happiness or the good feeling, and it's a kind of a drug. So when you say you are addicted to your smartphone, so that's exactly what this prefix thing is doing. So scrolling and having this boost of dopamine every time you see something interesting on TikTok, it's what makes people to stay online. TikTok was able also to appear better to younger audiences, as you can understand, because younger audiences have no patience for more than 20 seconds per video. So, of course, it appealed for them. And the algorithm finds a stream of videos that are based on your interest. So if people start to, watch a lot of videos of cats and dogs, so the algorithm of TikTok will start to show them much more videos related to these topics. So when you think about it, if you're a pet product brand owner that sells pet products, this is exactly what you need, right? You need people that are most of their time are watching different things about animals because they like animals or they have animals. You want to be there in order to put your product in front of their eyes. So this is exactly why it's important. Okay, the potential for fame, right? Different people from all over the world all of the sudden can open, a channel and start to speak about whatever it is and start to be very popular and gain fame. And of course, there's like this game of a new trend every week. So they kind of this is a TikTok invention on how to keep people very interested. And lastly, which is very important to you guys as well, is finding communities on TikTok. So there's a lot of communities related to different topics, different hobbies that people are finding their way there. Exactly as I mentioned with the pets. So social commerce also very depends on social proof. So social proof is a very advanced word for reviews, right? Reviews and ratings and feedbacks. And an interesting fact that you can see here in a survey in 2021, that people still are very, very, influenced by reviews when they think about what they want to buy. So it's really still a big decision for them. And ratings and reviews are still 94% of the answers here. And then only the product price on the second place, as you can see on the left. But you see that the trust, even though we had a lot of ups and downs with reviews on Amazon and all the cleanups and the closing of different platforms and the manipulations. So you still see that people are really trusting online reviews, and this is something that you need to keep in mind, that one door of having reviews and social proof is closed, a new door is being opened for you, and we will discuss about this door. This door called live stream. Okay, so live stream social proof. This is how it's connected to everything that you have heard until now, right? TikTok, it's a lot of live streams there, and we know that the main country in the world that kind of gave birth to the live stream is China. And in China, they're all the brands have their people 24/7 speaking into the camera like I'm doing right now, and just sell products all the time, just speak about on the product and their features, and they're kind of doing like TV shops that was really popular in the 90s. So this is kind of an evolution of this, and the live stream became really strong because people, the brands understood that people are love to be on live streams and love to share with other people a live stream, and they feel like they're kind of in a community, or like you guys are right now on the live stream of on SellerFest with me, and you feel like you're part of something. And this is a powerful tool that you need, guys, to understand. It is here to stay, because on the left side you can see the the commerce market projection of the live streaming, and you see how it will continue to grow by 2025 by billions. Okay, and in China, an interesting survey said that people are listening to professional experts. So if you are into doing something like that in the future, you need to embrace and this is a great tip, embrace the tactic of a white coat, right? What is the white coat effect is when somebody puts a white coat on him, immediately he looks like a doctor, right? And a doctor or a professor that knows what he's talking about. So this is exactly what the brands in China did, right? If a brand is about cosmetics, they usually put their influencers to speak from the industry, beautiful woman with great skin that will speak about the brand, and these experts are very professional in what they're doing. And on the second place, you can see the real users reviews, and the real users reviews is what we call USG, and user generated content, UGC, and we will speak about it in a second. So you can see here the relation between penetration into social media and e-commerce, which kind of summarizes everything here in what happened in the last 2 years. So once you have more people on social media, and you can see how it rises here, the dots, then you can, of course, see also a huge increase and a bump in the e-commerce industry. More people online, more people spend their time, and money is where people are spending their time. So e-commerce is also boosting together with social media, and social media is overtaking our everyday life. So social commerce is here to stay. As you can see, the projection of social commerce in US in blue, China in green, Europe in red, and rest of the world in yellow. By 2026, it will just grow. So guys, if you don't have any channels for your brands, any social platforms for your brand, this is the time, right after my presentation tomorrow, next week, go and start to build your channels, because if you need to be early adopters, definitely here it will raise by 50%, in a compound annual rate. And now we are coming to the real to the kind of, after we understood everything that happened in the 2020 and sorry in 2020 to 2022, and why social commerce is now so important to Amazon brands in specific. So I want to introduce you. I don't know if you ever heard about Amazon flywheel of success. So this is a real thing from Amazon, right? This is Amazon is the source of this great picture. Looks like somebody just draw it on the glass in the window in his office, but it's a really brilliant way of saying why Amazon is so successful. So Amazon in just beginning, when they started, the number one growth component for them was this kind of cycle. So they wanted to bring in people, right? So this is the traffic, people that come into to the marketplace to look for products, brought the sellers, brought us, because of course we saw that there is a traffic there. We want to be part of Amazon, we want to sell there. Okay, more sellers came into Amazon, of course, provided much more selection in products and different products, and it's still happening, right? Because we have millions of products, new products every single day coming onto Amazon. Big selection provided a very unique customer experience for Amazon, right? You can find everything that you want there. Customer experience brought more traffic, and here we go more again and again with this flywheel. And on the upper lower, the flywheel, you can see also that every time we go by the round, we can see a lower cost structure, like lower prices, because we start to kind of compete with each other, right? We saw it in 2018 with the influx of the Chinese sellers that came into Amazon and started, to fight with us with the prices, that they brought much more lower prices. So this is the flywheel. In the beginning, Amazon is happy with this, right? Because lower prices also help them with the customer experience. So if you take this flywheel of success and you just copy paste it for a second to the outside efforts that you want to build, right? To your own website, for example, on Shopify, you want to kind of create the same thing for your audience, right? You want the traffic to come in. You are the seller, right? So you will have much more traffic, you have much more sales, you will have the incentives to bring in more products and more selection, right? You will grow, you will bring in more products into your line. So, and you provide more customer experience that you cannot provide on Amazon. So the main thing that I learned from Amazon is how to give 120% uncompromised customer experience and customer support and customer service. And they put the customer in the middle, and they call it God. So I'm not saying that you need to do it exactly like this, but you need to strive to be as much as closer to this experience in your website, in your channels, in your social media channels, in order to bring this flywheel of success to your own brand. The key elements for you guys in implementing the social commerce and understanding how it can help to your brand are as following. So you need to really deeply understand and know your consumers. This will be critical, and successful marketing efforts. You need to understand, right? If your main target audience is moms, because you have, I don't know, clothing for babies or something for babies, you need to understand either your audience changed during these 2 years. What happened to the mothers in the last 2 years? Are they much more frustrated because they were at home with the kids on their heads? Are they willing to spend more money or not? So you need to look into the psychological elements of your audience right now and research this in order to make much more better and precise marketing efforts. Your marketing messages on the social commerce must be really direct to the point. You guys must stay aligned with the general trajectory and engage with consumers, as we said, with the situation, the preferences, and their needs. Okay, if you are selling something which is related to much more staying at home, so you are rocking. You're on the wave. You are in the right brand, in the right niche. You just need to work, very, very smart. On the other, scale, if you are selling something which is very related to public gathering, for example, or transportation or flying, people are less and less going on to tourisms and being tourists. So maybe these niches will kind of be in decrease, and you need to understand this because this is a global phenomenon. um, Implemented correctly, social commerce offers the convenience, and you need to understand the convenience of online shopping. People are preferring this kind of convenience right now, and this is what social media offering, and you need to understand it. The shift from conventional marketplaces to direct to consumer is there. It's here. It's there. People are changing the way they are purchasing. Period. And if you didn't want it, and to duplicate your business from Amazon to different other platforms because of lack of uh, potential, or lack of, you ask yourself, either I will have any traffic there. So this is the answer. The last 2 years helped you with this. It's here to stay. You need to jump on it. And as I mentioned, it's all about location. People will spend money where they're spending their time. It's so obvious already right now, and you need to be in the precise crossroads and meet your audience in these places where they spend their time. And of course, build community. So play to the buyer's hands. People are on one side, they're much more at home, right? They prefer to be at home because they're a friend and everything. The segregation is here. But on the other hand, they compensate on this with being part of communities. So people want, on the other hand, to be part of some community because they're okay. I'm already at home. Uh, I'm much more at home, right? Everybody started to work from at home at least half of the week. So at least I will be part of some kind of community, digital community. And you want to build that community for them, play to their hands. So social proof, and this is very important note, is became very hard on Amazon. Rebate key and different platforms of search, find, buy methods are closing. Amazon is really strict on having review manipulation. If you don't have the opportunity to bring a lot of stock and provide very good prices to a very high quality product, it will be very difficult to gain on the reviews on Amazon. So user generated content, or maybe you heard about this short name UGC, is the answer. Okay, so this is kind of giving the power to other people who bought your products to do the social commerce for you, to do the digital commerce for you, the marketing. And for this you need to have, of course, the social media channels, because where would they say, hey, I bought this and this is really cool, I don't know, brush girls, and you need to try that. Very little tolerance for digital inconvenience. So people started to be very impatient for like a long journeys into the cart, and different pop-ups that are trying to do upsells in the middle of the checking out. So it's really frustrating, and people are looking for a very fast decision. I want to see something. If I see something on TikTok, I want to click on it and be in the cart in just 2 clicks, in 5 seconds, and make my purchase. And this is something that not always we can provide right on marketplaces where we buy for, like Amazon. Of course, you can do it by also several clicks on Amazon, but all the user experience and how everything looks on Amazon, it's a bit less, convenient for those who are looking for buying something very quick and move on. So you need to keep on a very frictionless shopping experience, fast info as possible, and you can do that on your listings as well. Less copywriting, less words, less motifs and infographics in your photos. less text in your EBC. Keep it simple, keep it very, keep the value to be out there, and just, give the message, the exact message that you want to do in less words. And videos, that's also right. The penetration of video into Amazon is something that started to happen 2 years ago, and becomes much more critical for Amazon sellers. So if today you don't have videos on Amazon instead of the 7 photos, for example, or videos in your storefront, or video in your PPC campaigns, you're just not playing the game. You're not there, and you need to be. So people will prefer to look on a very short video of 30 seconds to understand what is your product, instead of reading your bullets. This is the new audience that is trying to buy your product, and you need to understand that. If you do different ads, of course, also on Amazon, because also in Amazon you can, edit different ads with different copies and provide different pictures in the PPC. So also for the outside of Amazon, if you do PPC on Google or Facebook, traditional ads are simply ignored. Okay, no more in your face ads. People are preferring, people are skeptical. People are not buying the old, who wants to hear 10 tips about how to groom your dog? Leave your email and I will send you a ebook. That doesn't work anymore. You need to put your value directly out there in front of them as much as quick as possible, and this is the best ads that are working right now. Low priced products, okay, they sell better on the social, of course, as we understood from the beginning of the slides, for different economical reasons, but also that's because people are much more likely to buy cheaper things and not costly items that you need to do some comparison, you need to think about. Social commerce is an impulse experience of buying. You see something, you feel it's a really cool thing, you want to buy it in 5 minutes and be out of there. So this is a great opportunity for you to bring to the front those products that are lower priced in your brand. Okay, if of course you have several products, think about those products that are less expensive. These are the products that you need to do the A/B testing on social commerce. These are the products that need to put on your different channels and start to do social commerce to see how it goes. Because if you will put there, $100 product, you don't see the effect. You will say, oh, guy spoke on SellerFest and said it will work, and it doesn't work. He's a liar. So try the opposite. Okay, put a $5, $10, $20, something cool out there just to try this, and you see a much better results than putting something 4 or 5 times expensive. Educate yourself about digital marketing. So I remember when I started my journey on Amazon, I had to write some automated emails, and maybe to build my own Shopify website, or at least I tried in 5 years ago. So I didn't know anything about it, and I said, hey, I'm here to do Amazon, right? I bought an Amazon course. Why should I do that? But today we understand the game is different. Okay, the battlefield is absolutely different. In order even to do only Amazon, you still need to know other things from the digital market space, from the social media space. Learn about influencing marketing. How does it work? Why it's so important? Just educate yourself. There's so much bunch of courses out there, lower priced or even for free content everywhere, and just keep an eye on it and educate yourself. So last part of this presentation will be some practical practices for you on Amazon, because Amazon, we can say a lot of bad things about Amazon, but one thing good to say about them is that they see and hear what is going on around them. Sometimes they wake up too late, and they could have reacted maybe before, but this is such a giant monster. So everything, all the processes there takes some time, but they hear, they see, they feel everything that I've just, forward you on these slides, and they understand that they need to change as well. They need to be dynamic. They need to hear to the voices, to what is happening around the world. And this is why they also, started to bring in different features that I want to, share with you, or maybe if you heard about it, just, emphasize them again, how important it is. So the follow button is something that is pretty new on Amazon, and you can see it on Amazon storefronts, on Amazon Post, on Amazon Live. It's hovering over the lives. So the follow button, as you understand, came from Instagram, right? The followers are from Instagram. This is an social commerce. It's a social media element that Amazon just embraced. Amazon embraced into her platform and allowed to do here. So the follow here, it will kind of allow you to build your own community on Amazon. So whenever people will, hit the follow button on your specific brand, they will start to get some push notifications from Amazon whenever you, launch a new product, or you engage them with something that called manage your customer engagement. So the mic or the mice feature that you can find in your Seller Central is an important one, because it's still in beta and still underestimated, because there is not a lot of features there. But this is kind of for now, you can do create some email campaigns there and provide some information for the followers. So gather as much as you will gather more and more followers, hundreds and thousands hopefully, then you could communicate with them much better. And this is huge, because until now Amazon said, you can't communicate with your buyers whatsoever. The only way you can do that is by auto emails, and there also you have some restricted rules, and slowly I'm allowing you to do that by still by the book, on my platform, in my rules. This is my home, my rules. So, well, 50%, right? It's a halfway for you, but still it's something. And from the rumors and from what is, from the information that flows in the different groups and forums, we understand that Amazon will gradually allow much more features to do with the followers. So they want you to build your community on Amazon, and you can also provide them information about incoming new releases product, and offer them some discounts, and this way it will also help you to launch and gather more reviews. So it's a different things that you were unable to do before. And you can see that you will also be able to in the future advertise specifically to the brands, to the people that follow your brand. And this is like the future features of PPC will be some specific campaigns to your audience that follows you, and you will be able to speak directly and advertise directly for them. Also, it will basically, the rumors are saying it will kill all the other softwares that providing automated emails, autoresponders, because in the end Amazon will close down on them as they did on RibbitKey. So build your off Amazon platforms. You must do that, okay? And you understand in a second why. But you have so much, Facebook shops open their e-commerce platform. Instagram shopping is their e-commerce platform. Google shopping is here already a couple of years. TikTok channel is also implementing now different e-commerce features. Pinterest, Snapchat, all of this, of course, I'm not saying that you need to have all of those open. Of course, you need to first concentrate on the ones that you think will bring you the most value. And it, of course, depends on your audience. For example, Pinterest, it's much more female-oriented platform, so you should think about it. Or TikTok, it's much more younger audience-oriented. So it's not necessarily all of them, but build those platforms. Why? Because then you can do the following. You can enroll into the brand referral program on Amazon. This is a new program that Amazon is saying to you, hey, I understand that you want to build your off Amazon channels. If you will drive traffic from those platforms into Amazon, I will give you a discount of 10% and around 10%. It differs for the different categories, but most of them are 10% on the referral fee, right? So the referral fee is 15%, and you will pay only 5%. It will be, deducted from your Seller Central payments. So in order to enroll, of course, to this program, you need to have brand registry, which is, I'm not speaking about the importance of brand registry, because today you can't sell on Amazon without that, period. Okay, you need to have brand registry, period. And then you will be able to open this program and connect it to Amazon attribution. Okay, so Amazon attribution is the next step after you have the brand referral bonus. Create PPC campaigns outside of Amazon, advertising outside from Amazon. Also, to do some remarketing on the different audiences that are exposed to your brand, but also to color the people that are coming from the outside. So Amazon attribution is kind of Facebook pixel or Google tags that will allow you to put your different links on the different e-commerce social commerce channels, in order to understand if this purchase, this order that I have on Amazon came from TikTok in specific. And then you also can start to gather the information. You need to have the ability to gather the information to understand if you are on the right track, if you're doing the right things. And this is how Amazon is allowing you and helping you in order to bring in analytics to help to your brand, and not saying, okay, you want to do social commerce, go on Google, go on Facebook, start to do PPC there, spend money, spend time. And this what happened. This was what was happening in the last 2 years, when Amazon attribution is here for 2 years, but it was in such a beta experience that most of the people that I spoke with them really didn't saw any results. But now that you can also have discount, and you can better track the analytics, so it's much more not that blurry anymore. Leverage live streaming on Amazon. So I spoke a lot of times about Amazon Live and how it can help. I'm kind of ambivalent with Amazon Live right now, because Amazon changed the algorithm about this platform, and it's much harder than it was before. When they launched the feature, it was generating much more traffic. But now they kind of said, okay, if you want to use Amazon Live, you need to be consistent. You need to be constantly there, providing lives all the time. Show us that you are gaining airtime, and with the steps, slowly and gradually, you will kind of hit new targets, and I will allow more traffic to you. So they want you to be consistent. It's a good thing, right? Because in business in general, you need to be very consistent with everything that you are trying if you want to see any results. So it's a really good opportunity to engage with the brands. I'm not aware if you know, but on Amazon Live, you have a chat, you can communicate, you can answer questions like we're doing right now. You can inform the buyers about the program, about the product, about the features. You can provide different discounts. You can interact with them, and it's very important. And the follow button, you remember, you can also provide call to actions on the live streams and say, hey, please click the follow button, exactly as Augustus said in the beginning, in order to engage you. And this is the way that live streaming is coming to Amazon. I really do believe that Amazon will take this platform and this feature and invest in it much more in the upcoming months and years, because they understand that this is their only way to live stream on Amazon, and it's doing a really great work on the outside of Amazon. So it also will do here. We're almost in the end. So coming to the juicy things like micro influencers. So I know that marketing influencers and all the influencing industry was there even 5-6 years ago with different platforms like Thompson, but now it became much more relevant, because as you understand, and you connect from what I said before about TikTok, that everybody can become a famous on TikTok right now and start to be a micro influencer, right? And we understand that influencers already on Instagram, it's a really good job. It's a really good career. Everybody with 50K followers can start to drive traffic for whatever you want. So this should be definitely in your strategy of the social commerce. And today you have so much platforms. Even if you hit micro influencers or e-commerce influencers on Google, you will get so much ways on how to start to build your strategy. And the idea of working with micro brands need to work with micro influencers is also to be very picky. You don't need to have your Beyonce to advertise your product. It's not, doesn't make any sense, right? You want to keep it much more cozy, smaller community, much more engaging traffic of those micro influencers, and this is this practice will start to be much more relevant also on Amazon as well. Okay, I believe that we see already behind the scenes different cooperations and projects between Amazon and TikTok, and by engaging influencers and to provide them the ability to drive traffic to Amazon and sell more products for you. So this is something that will be really kind of a new features soon. So you need to understand the idea of this, start to maybe do some A/B testings, and this is a great way to drive traffic to your brands on social commerce. And in the end, it's all about community, right? Community everywhere. If you have your followers on Amazon or off Amazon, if it's an email market, if it's email list on your Shopify, it's still a community. If you have your channels and you're broadcasting, the power is by community. If you think about it, it makes very sense and a lot of sense. And I believe that in the near future we will be much more kind of willing to be part of something that also brings us a lot of values. And this is a great tip for the brands that are developing different things about around their products that can engage the community. Okay, I will give you some examples. If you are selling toys on Amazon, if you are selling arts and crafts, so you can engage the families, the kids, the parents of the kids that are buying these things with different activities, with different ideas on and gather them in the community. If you are selling sports, outdoors equipment for sports and any exercise things, so think about different think about building some training programs specifically for your community with an influencer or with a figure that can help you with this. Provide this to your community along with the product. So give more value. So communities is the tool to give more value, and giving value, as you understand, it works what makes the growth of your brand. So I do believe that success is really dominated by first movers. And if you're not a first mover, so at least be a relentless innovator and think about the new things that you can bring in to your brand. And social commerce is definitely one of these. So in conclusion, and this is the last slide, this is all what I've just spoke for the last hour. Social presence, it's something that you need to have in order to give value. You bring value, you will have your community, and then everything will be holistic and will make a lot of money, hopefully, for you guys. So thank you very much for listening. Hopefully that this has helped you, and I will gladly take any questions.
Yeah, we have a lot of questions. Thank you very much, Guy. And I also wanted to mention that during this Seller Fest online event, where we feature more than 20 Amazon experts, we also recorded with each expert, including Guy, additional video which we packaged into the VIP package. And Guy, could you tell us what did you share in the VIP video?
Yeah, so I actually built a blueprint for you. It's a kind of a must checklist for you when you start to build your kind of social commerce presence. Different, things to think about it, from different things that I didn't spoke even right now about voice technology. For example, as Augustus showing you, and how Alexa is connected to everything. Different things about how to, tactics, how to take the features that we just mentioned on Amazon, but in much more practical way on your efforts to bring the social commerce. And I will hopefully give you much more practical tools there. And it's a kind of a checklist that you can really print the presentation and go slide by slide, trying to do that. Okay, once I have this channel, great, what's next? And then I will implement the second one. And this is hopefully will build your social commerce presence and strategy.
Yeah, so all this you can get in the VP package. There are 20 more videos with with all other speakers, and each of them are sharing for example, Guy is sharing a blueprint, others are sharing different worksheets, explanations, SOPs, and all this is available if you find the link below in the description of this video. And yeah, here you will find all the descriptions of these additional sessions. And now I think it's time to go with the questions. We have a lot of questions, and so we will have to see how good Guy is in speed answering. We have like more than 20 questions, and we're already 1 hour into the session.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, let's take the first question. So it's from Anna. So what is the state of mind of the consumers when they look in social media? Are they ready to buy, or just do pre-research to buy sometimes in the future?
Well, this is exactly why I mentioned, the instant and kind of psychological impulse buying. So we should, whenever we do social commerce, we don't need to think about offering them offers that will make them think, and say, oh, this is nice, but it's expensive. Maybe tomorrow I will check the prices. Or it's too complicated, right? There is technological features in this product. I'm not sure that I'm able to decide in 5 minutes if I want to buy it. So if you think about it, think about the products that you see on Instagram or TikTok, it's much more viral products. Like, it's cool things, cool gadgets, things that are really engaging and making you say, oh, this is really cool, and not start to think about. So I do believe that social commerce is, of course, there's a lot of work on this, but it's on the side of the brands. But in the end, it should be for an instant purchase and not for pondering on the future. The marketplaces are for this, and the carts for this, that you can add to your cart and think about it. Something that you cannot do on social commerce.
Okay, very good. Thank you for that. So Nomi is asking, how will you suggest to research the psychological element of your consumers, and how this will impact their decision to buy?
Well, you saw 007, James Bond. So this is a great way for you to spy on your community. So jump into different, communities and groups that are related to your products. Be a spy in those, communities, or maybe you can just, join different topics there and see how things are going there. What people are looking, what are the discussions, what are the values, what are the feelings? Are people much more, aggressive right now, or are they speaking on the specific topics? You can try to understand this way. This is like the first thing that came up to my mind. I guess there's other ways, different things that you can research, and read about it online, articles. But this would thing that I would do, right? Join some communities.
Okay, very good. Perfect. So let's go with Anna's question. So what do you think is the best way to find social media influencers for a campaign? DM them, or use influence for higher platforms to find them?
A/B testing. I do not believe there is a specific way that works, 100% for someone. I personally think that, direct messages are a little bit too pushy, and everybody, today is receiving a lot of messages, and usually when you are receiving messages and you are not even an influencer, you kind of have, a negative first experience and feeling that somebody wants something from me. So this is why, the platforms for influencers are really on the rise right now. So I would start with, kind of filtering in those platforms. And by the way, in the VIP sessions, if you remember, Lizette, I'm sharing some of those platforms that we can find the influencers and really filter them into the specific segments that we're looking for our brands.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. Yeah, you did mention that in the VIP session. So if anyone is interested in finding out what Guy suggests, then definitely go ahead and get the VIP package. So let's go with another question then. Just a second. So Jeff is asking, how does Google determine where to drive traffic to Amazon? Is it detail page or store or something else?
Good question. So first of all, you can Google right now. If you look for a product on Google, usually you in the first 2 or 3 results you will receive Amazon results anyway. So the Amazon buys and Amazon does a lot of work on Google in order to show up in the search results already. I think Google doesn't really determine if it's up to them. It really doesn't matter for Google, where to drive the traffic. It's more of the relevance, and they make their money on the sponsor products. But once you do it from the Amazon side, and you can make some campaigns with the Amazon attribution, so you can definitely make some new campaigns that drive traffic specifically to your storefront, which is why it's so important to have storefronts. And you can do it also on the PPC on Amazon, but it usually goes directly to the specific products. Usually the product pages are coming up. And another tip, that if you're already mentioned, in the it's Google is also a search engine, so the 4 or 5 words in the beginning of your title in Amazon, it's kind of the equivalent prefix that also works very good in Google. So if you want to put the most efficient words for Google as well, just make sure they're also the most relevant in the 5 in the first sentence, 5 words in the beginning of your title.
All right. So we have a lot of questions. Too many.
I think let's take a couple of more, and then we can invite Guy to come back on our channel to do a Q&A session. So definitely, if you haven't subscribed yet to our channel, then do that. And also now it's the time to like this video to show Guy as well that you enjoyed his content.
Pick the juiciest questions.
Yeah, well, instead of picking the question, I will mention that all the questions are participating in the draw of $100 Amazon gift card. And very soon, in a few minutes after we finish with few questions, we will pick the winner. And the other questions, don't worry, we save them, and we will invite Guy to record most likely a session offline, and then we will upload to our YouTube channel, so you will get your answers. So make sure that you subscribe, and we can make a minute of silence waiting until they subscribe.
So I actually got
minute of silence, is it?
Now it's minute of silence. Okay, sorry. I already read the question I want to ask Guy because I'm interested in hearing what's his answer. So Kim is asking if they have a blog post on Shopify, then should they direct the links to our products on Shopify or to Amazon?
It's really about your strategy. So I would say today, like in my close circles, I really like to say that in order to succeed today on Amazon, you also need to succeed off Amazon, because it's really hard to drive in the beginning, for new products, traffic on Amazon. So if you're launching a new product on Amazon, definitely I would, take advantage of the different channels that you have to drive traffic outside from Amazon with those tools that I've just mentioned, with the referral program and everything. And yes, you can direct directly from your blog to your to your Amazon. So it's really up to your strategy, because if you want this, click to come from outside and the purchase to come from the outside, and you build your presence and your ranking on Amazon, so you should do that, right? If you are have a lot of budget and your efforts is to build presence and brand awareness both on Amazon and your website on Shopify, so do it on Shopify. So I think the question is make me answer a little bit like a politician, but it is really depending on your strategy. But if it's a new program, definitely product definitely use it to launch in your efforts to launch it on Amazon.
All right.
Very good. I saw one question that actually goes together a lot with the social commerce concept, and I think many sellers have this question. So, can you pull content from social media to use on your Amazon listing without asking for a permission from the person or influencer that posted it?
Lawyers, close your ears. So, well, of course, you cannot use names. And I would say also, I would always ask the people that leave the user generated content. So, for example, on Facebook, I would ask their permission in order to use this in other platforms, because you don't really want to mess with intellectual property and things like that. But on the Amazon listings itself, it's forbidden to mention reviews, and sometimes I see still photos of products that are mentioning reviews that they received or putting some stars. So it is forbidden. But you can kind of maybe make a collage. I saw a really great solution of taking a lot of buyers photos and making a collage of where specifically you cannot spot a specific person there, but you can make kind of it's a creative solution on showing a strength of a social proof, but not concentrating on a specific person or a name. But I would read a little bit more about it and maybe even consult with a lawyer that specializes in this specifically.
All right, we have we have one more question about Amazon Live, which is interesting.
Yeah,
right?
let's take one more because you mentioned Amazon Live in your presentation as well. So Jeff is saying Amazon. I don't understand exactly the beginning of the question, but the question is: do you have to use influencers to get significant engagement when you do Amazon Live?
No, it's not a must. You don't need to put a specific influencer or to use professional influencer in order to do Amazon Live. Would it help? Yes, definitely. I saw that, and I can also admit that when I try to do that, it's not the same. And even when I try to give it to my VA, it really didn't work as good. And slowly by slowly, I saw that my competitors are just using real people that this is their work. They're influencers. They know how to speak. They know how verbally to sell, and definitely it can help to engage much more traffic. In the end, it's really similar to what I spoke on social commerce. People are really impatient, so you need to have this first seconds to really engage them. And if you're not doing it in a professional way, people would just bounce out from your live session to the next one.
All right, great. So now I think we're ready for the $100 draw. So everybody who submitted questions, they are participating. I will show soon the screen of all the entries. Those who didn't get answers, don't worry, we'll record another video and we will link it below in the description in the future. And yes, Naomi says yes. Er says, thank you so much, Guy, for sharing your knowledge. Anna, thanks, Guy. Amazing session. So much great information. Yes, everybody's happy. Let's see. We have how many entries? Let me make it. Yes, so we have more than almost 30 entries, almost 30 questions. So I'm opening the comment picker, the random picker of the names. I think I didn't copy. So you copy again. And the rule will be that the person who is shown on the screen, the winner, should say that they are online and they are watching still. So if you're not watching, then sorry, we cannot give you this prize. So we have all these entries, 28 questions during the session. It's great. Probably once we answered like half of them, and half of them will be in another video. So the person who will win $100 Amazon gift card will be Anna Gelfman. She was the most active and she had the most chances. So Anna, if you're still watching, please please say something. Let's see. We because of delay, we wait a little bit. And if you are there, I hope she's there. Yeah, she was there a few minutes ago. So please give us a sign, and then I will give already instructions. So write to team@orangeclick.com and make a screenshot.
Yes, she is here with us. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, like write to us and make a screenshot of your YouTube account that we know that it's you, and we will process the gift card. All right. Yes, she's there. Okay. So thank you very much, Guy. And could you... Kim says it makes sense totally to go with a strategy and budget. Okay, he's responding to the previous answers.
Thank you.
And yeah, Guy, one more time, how do you help Amazon sellers and how they can get in touch with you?
Okay, so if you hit RPG Ecom anywhere, from LinkedIn to Facebook to Google, you'll probably come to us, or Guy Heretz, same strategy. And if you have any question about your product, how to scale it, your brand, we can definitely help you. If there is a doubt, there is no doubt. So if you are not sure if we can help you, just find us, ask us, try us. I will always specifically involved with each client and see how I can help you. The main thing that we like to do is think out the box. In everything that we do is PPC, it's creative, it's copywriting, it's building brand presence. Just thinking out of the box, trying to do different things. And we have great creative people here to help you, and come over and test us.
Perfect. And final appreciation words from Angelica. Thank you, Augustus, Lisette, and Guy. Thanks for the sponsors. Thanks, Pina says. Jeff says, congrats, Anna. All right. So thank you very much. And see you in the next videos. Bye-bye, Anna and
Thank
Lisette.
you.
Guy and Lisette. Anna also.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See you.
Okay. Bye. And now I would like to invite you to watch another video with Guy where he explains 7 strategies which you can implement in order to get sales from your competitors using PPC. It's quite a popular video on our channel. Check this out.